Feel a nice layer right down in there. This is close to where I left off yesterday, and it was packed tight. So I dug into it a little bit and let the boat waves and water air it out. And now I'll just be able to scoop up this stuff. See, there's cracked up rock in that. I have just as good a chance digging right here as I do any place. Pretty awesome find. There's another flake right there too, but this was sticking out. And look at this spall. It's got a real weird inclusion in it. It looks like some kind of fossil. That's awesome. Yeah, you can see right there's the cortex, and this is, see how it's kind of a red color? It's definitely been heat treated. It's been fired. And look at that fossil inclusion right there. It's too bad there's not a point out of that with that right in the center. That would, oh man. See, these are all flakes, and there's an artifact right there. Look at that, another little blade. Found several. It's like a preform. There might be a cache of blanks in here and associated artifacts. We'll see. I found a bunch of these. Yeah, here's this little preform or blank blade, whatever you want to call it. I'd say it's a preform for a little atto dart, but it's beautiful material, that two-tone. That's cool. I've found so many of them. I can make a frame of like 50 or 60 and they'll look great. But there's that fun, the first one here. You see, I got a whole thing of cores and flakes, just nothing real good. I've been over here over an hour, but evidence every screen. Another flake here. See, I just took a test screen in here. Little flakes. Right here's a real nice little, I'll show you this. It's a real nice little end scraper. Real nice little one. And you see how much it's lightened up. I found this yesterday. Look, it's got the little kind of notches right down there. I'd say this was hafted. It was in that muck. So you can see some of the staining there. That's all it stayed, but that's got a nice tool lip on it. It's a nice little end scraper, and it feels like it's just been sharpened. It's real sharp. But you see that one's notched too a little bit. Fix my shovel. I think I'll be able to make this dig, but the blade on these comes loose. You see, I have it taped. I have it super glued too, and it comes loose. The rivets fail. And once it starts sliding like this too much, they fail and break. But if you can keep them glued, you're good. It'll last forever, I think. Real old brick. I just now washed this once, but look at this weird rock. I don't really see any working on it. Them black spots are river staining. But that's odd. There's rocks like that up in these layers around these fire pits. And some of these ones like this are chewed up on the end, and I think they were using them, roughing them up a little bit, placing them on the edge of the piece they're working, hitting it with a billet. And a lot of them, you'll see, have a break right here. But this one's nothing on it, I don't think. And all I'm finding is tools and no nice points, see? There's another little preform blade, tool, whatever you want to call it. Believe this. I walked a little farther, and you know, the water's up. This is where I want to be looking, and it's underwater, and I think I see a point. And I took some screens in here yesterday. Look right there. What is that? Oh man, it's a day maker. It's a little rocker base Amos. Look at that. It's a pretty nice one. Man, I can't believe it. Well, this ain't bad. I can't believe that was, I saw that, you know, in the conditions today. It does have an ear neck, and imagine if that had a barb on that side, it'd be a lot nicer. But it's a sharpened down point. It's got a nice little ground base on it, and I'd say that's Brush Creek Chert. You can see an orange spot right in there. It's got some staining on it, but not bad for laying out. Well, I got real lucky finding that point. See, there's a little bit of rock blowing up, but that's it right there to look. And luckily, the waters, you can just see in it. See, I can just barely see the bottom. See, you could find something here, but 1 in every 30 trips, I'd say. I got lucky. The wind's starting to pick up. This will be completely muddy before long. It ought to be decent when the water goes down there, but I took some screens back here, found flakes, didn't see nothing else. I'm just going to kind of head down the shore and see if I can't come up with one more find. See, I'm just surface hunting this the best I can. the flint usually pops off the bottom, you know, you see it, but I'm not seeing much more. I've come today, my gloves and my top, but it's warm enough. You know, the water's cold, but I'm conditioned for this. I'll be too hot today in a wetsuit, so I'll dig till I'm too cold. But I'm not uncomfortable right now. See, I'm digging a layer that deep. I found points right in here. Hopefully we can get one more before I go. One already. And it's odd looking. This is where I found that hoop well. Heck, that looks like it has a notched base. What the heck is that? Some little stem point. And it does have like a little, it's kind of decent. It's an odd point. I don't know what to call that. I'll show you. And you see this? That's an odd little point. I don't know what to call that. And see the base there? That little kind of nipple in the center. It's just odd. Huh. I don't know what to call it, but I'll take it. Kind of thick, kind of crude, kind of a field grade point, but the material's kind of cool too, so can't complain about that. It's turning out to be pretty good. I got on here. I'm in a little shower of water from what I normally been, but it's about as deep because the water's up. But right there's another little, what the heck's that? It's like a triangle, but I think it's just a sharpened down, it's got a real ground base. I think it's a sharpened down point, and it used to be a projectile, and it's been sharpened down into like a tool. That's nice. That's pretty nice. And you see this? With this base that's ground and the base is thicker, I'd say this was a projectile. And see how it has that angle to it? I'd say it was an Amos, and it's sharpened all the way down and used as a tool. See, I don't think this is anything Mississippian cultural period later, like Madison, I don't think. See, it's even almost beveled there, tiny bevel. But I'll show you with that other point, the sharpening. You see, like this point here. See how it's getting this edge that, and you'll even get them that are curved up here at the top. They were using that edge of that point as a knife. And you see this one's got that edge there. It's kind of, you can tell it's been resharpened, and it took that angled form from the resharpening and use. You see, down that side, it'd get dull, resharpen it a little bit. You can even see kind of where it was kind of hafted there, the base, and it's resharpened. But I'll see it a lot on these Amos points. They'll get the same angle to them. This is a pretty nice little piece. I like that. Nice material too. See what I mean? Here's one you can see. That was an atto dart at one point. And it's been shot, and then see how that's so off kilter. Look, that's from resharpening, and that's from using that as a knife. And what do you think? That was probably a big barbed point with serrations, maybe on a harpoon head or right by the river like that, and they were gigging fish with them, and then taking the little insert off, maybe a harpoon, and filleting those fish there. That would make a perfect fillet knife. You could get nice fillets and cook the fillets on the rocks. I think that's what was happening. And that little black knife today was probably used for the same thing. And see, right there's a Mississippian cultural period point. Thin, real nice. And see this one, thicker at the base, and the basal grinding, see, this is that point right there, that serrated point. Just sharpened, nubbed. You see what I mean? It's what it is. It's not that. And I'm pulling the big rocks off, see? That's another percussion hit river cobble that was turned into a chopper right there. I got better ones, but I'll take that, put in a flower bed. You know, normally I wouldn't have shown that rock. It's just an okay one, even like this one. But finding this on the river or something like this and not knowing what it is can crush you, because sometimes the bigger rocks are laying on top and you might find something like this. And it just looks like a rock, but look at the percussion hits all the way down it. And that's a tool. And it's a common stone they made them out of, and how would you know that if you just didn't look at all this stuff? And, you know, I've found stuff like this and no flakes, and then got a little deeper down into a gravel layer, and that's where all the artifacts are laying. You might find some of this big stuff first, like eroding out of the bank, like, you know, the pitted stone. You see a pitted stone on the shore, there's arrowheads and flint tools there somewhere. Cores like this, all of this stuff is there someplace, and that's your job to find it. And I'll show you what I do to locate some of this stuff. I'll show you. Well, this is what I use. This is a heavy gauge, real sturdy probe, but it has a little bend to it. And it really, I can feel the base pushing this down. It feels kind of like you're pushing it in the modeling clay, like a bucket of modeling clay. You'll get into it, but you'll get false spots in that clay where maybe there was a crease in it and fired rock and arrowheads fell into it. And you know, you can feel it with this, just like you can bottles in a privy, like crunchy layers. And when you feel that, I'll dig down to it. And almost every time on a beach, ashore, that I'm finding flint, fired rock and stuff, anything that's further down that erosion plane out into the water that I could find with the tip of this, 19 out of 20 times, if you dig into it, there's artifacts in it. It's just loaded out in deep water, and especially deep. Who's looked at it? Nobody ever, you know? So a probe's your best friend if you want to find stuff like I am. Well, here's a hill behind my house, and the reason why that probe works, this is how I'll explain it. The big dams they put in the river raised the water level right up into a place like this where Indians would have lived. But the place I'm at, the sediments, the river sediments, so they were kind of just flowed, gradually laid down. And there's no rocks in them over. You start looking at the bank, you can judge it where you're at. Some of the gravel layers, there's nothing over like something you could hold in your hand. And it's all like hard stone. You'll get a seam of that, but above it you'll get sandstone and all this rock that doesn't belong. And you know, after looking at it a while, that all of it has been carried in by ancient human hands. So that's what you're looking for with the probe. And then you're sampling the rock and looking at the rock for that fired rock. And in some of the places I've been recently, there's no gravel layers in the bank. So every big rock over the size of like a tennis ball that's carried in, that's fired, is ancient. So any rock you can find down, let's say the water, let's say this was the dry land there by the river, and now water starts hitting this. Well, it starts lapping at it and everything starts settling, and the further out you get on that erosion plane, usually the more loaded it is. And you know, the further out in the water you might be on the main site, right in the center of the main site, versus on the shore, because the water's raised that much in the river. It's way higher. So where I'm looking for arrowheads is most likely, it's not even close to the edge of the river. I'd say you're 20 yards off in Indian times, at least, maybe 50. So, you know, that's kind of what we're dealing with there. Now you think about all those real nice points that I found, the serrated points with the needle tips and stuff. That water's washing right up into clay and sand layers where there was houses, most likely. I'm right in the middle of a dwelling where some guy had all these artifacts and, you know, all those hafted shaft scrapers. It's probably right out of a guy's dwelling that was making atto throwing spears. I'm right in the center of the workshop. Hell, I found 30 of them there over the past 20 years, you know. And all the serrated points, I'm right on the flint knappers hoard. There's caches that are coming out in these places, and it's hard to tell what else will come out in the future. See what I mean? That's last summer. Just last summer, all points in here, and this isn't even all of them. And see, there's just so many fine points with needle tips and so many perfect points, and it's because of the places I'm digging and how the stuff's eroding out. It's just laying there. If it doesn't get freeze thawed or damaged in the wash, you know, it's good. And see, look at this. This is the last like 70 days, 70 odd days I've looked every day. And I just got on runs of points. See, I'm out of frames. I'm going to have to, I get paid here in like a week. I'll have to go to an antiques mall and buy more Raker mounts or order them on Amazon. But look at some of this stuff. It's just, I found a lifetime collection in, 70 days. Just found that smoker right there. Lots of nice points in all these frames. This is what the sifter and the probe leads to. Just, you're not selling stuff. It gets expensive on the frames. I'm going to be broke. See, this is just stuff I'm sorting out of a box. There's just entire toolkits laying in places like I'm at. I just found this within the last week. It's a big sandy broad base. Look how beautiful that is. This knife within the last month. That's awesome. Same with this. This is real awesome. A hafted shaft scraper. Look at that. Here's a celt. Or adze, whatever you want to call it, from last summer, made of that bluestone. Here's most likely an Arrowhead handle weight. See how it's all polished on the side. Pretty, primitive form. Just kind of an odd thing, but still cool to find at all the little tools. There's stuff, whole tool kits are laying there on them shores.